At my husband's family engagement party, his sister laughed and said, "If you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice." Everyone laughed except me. I raised my glass, smiled, and replied, "Challenge accepted."
That same night,
I packed my things, cut off all contact, and vanished. 1 year later, they were the ones no one remembered. For 7 years, I'd felt like a ghost in my own marriage, constantly chasing acceptance from a family that never truly wanted me there. I didn't realize how deeply that feeling had settled into my bones until the night it was spoken out loud, wrapped in a joke, at an engagement party. My name is Emil. I'm 34 years old. And for most of my adult life, I tried desperately to belong to a family that never truly wanted me. Leo and I met during our final year of university. I was studying graphic design, scraping by on freelance jobs and late shifts at a coffee shop near campus. Leo was finishing his business degree with the kind of ease that comes from never having to worry about money. His parents paid for everything: tuition, housing, internships, even his car. We met one quiet night when he noticed the book I was reading behind the counter and struck up a conversation. One coffee turned into two. Two turned into hours. And before I knew it, we were inseparable. Our relationship moved fast enough that it felt romantic instead of reckless. Within 3 months, we were spending almost every night together. By graduation, Leo proposed with a ring that cost more than my entire student loan balance. I was completely swept up by his confidence, his certainty, and what I believed was genuine love. When we got married a year later, I honestly thought I wasn't just gaining a husband. I was gaining a family. Leo's family. The Caldwells were everything my own wasn't. They were wealthy, influential, polished, Richard. Leo's father had built a powerful marketing firm from the ground up. Patricia, his mother, managed their social life like a corporate operation. Galas, fundraisers, private dinners, all flawlessly executed. Gregory, Leo's sister, was already rising quickly inside the family business, sharp-tongued and impeccably dressed. And Michael, the youngest, still managed to land a prestigious job through family connections despite being labeled the free spirit they moved through. Life with confidence born from privilege. My upbringing couldn't have been more different. I was raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs. My sister and I shared a bedroom until college. Holidays meant homemade food, not catered spreads. Love was shown through effort, not appearances. Walking into the Caldwells' world felt like stepping into a space where I was always slightly out of place at first. The differences were subtle. Patricia praised my design career like it was a hobby. Richard explained business concepts to me like I was a beginner. And Gregory perfected the art of smiling while diminishing me. She corrected my pronunciation, adjusted my phrasing, made small remarks that chipped away at my confidence. Whenever I brought it up to Leo, he brushed it off. "She doesn't mean it that way. She's just blunt. She's trying to help you fit in." But Gregory's help felt like erosion. At our wedding, her speech included uncomfortable stories about Leo's exes. When we bought a house, she questioned whether the neighborhood suited the Caldwell name. When I landed a big client, she wondered aloud if it was because of Leo's connections. Still, I tried. I volunteered for Patricia's events. Referred work to Richard's firm. Remembered birthdays. Brought thoughtful gifts. I adjusted how I dressed, how I spoke, how much space I took up. For years. I kept my freelance business alive, building a quiet reputation. But when Leo's career expanded and required constant travel, it was simply assumed I'd scale back. No discussion? No. Question: my world shrank, then I miscarried at 11 weeks. Leo was out of town. He offered to come home, but seemed relieved when I said he didn't need to. Patricia sent flowers with a note that said, "Perhaps it's for the best, until you're more settled." Gregory suggested stress from trying to maintain my little business might have contributed. Only my sister came to stay with me. She brought soup, sat with me through sleepless nights, let me grieve without commentary. That contrast cracked something inside me. but I buried it. Another disappointment swallowed. By the time the engagement party rolled around, I was already a shadow of myself. The party was for Leo's cousin, hosted, of course, by the Caldwells. It was formal, elegant, a catered affair with champagne flutes and speeches. One of those events where family hierarchy is on full display. I spent hours preparing, choosing the right dress, rehearsing polite smiles, reminding myself to stay small and agreeable. When we arrived, the room buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. Patricia floated from group to group. Richard held court near the bar. Gregory commanded attention effortlessly. I hovered at Leo's side until he was pulled away by business conversations, and then came the moment. We were standing in a small circle of family and friends when Gregory raised her glass and said something about speeches being boring. Laughter followed. Someone joked about long engagements. Then Gregory turned to me with a smile that never reached her eyes. She said lightly, "You know, if *** Emile disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice." Laughter exploded around us. Patricia laughed behind her glass. Richard chuckled. Even Leo laughed just a little. The room felt like it tilted. I stood there, heart pounding, heat rushing to my face. 7 years of quiet humiliations crashing together into one crystal-clear realization. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't storm out. I lifted my champagne glass, met Gregory's eyes, and said calmly, "Challenge accepted." For a split second, the laughter faltered. Gregory blinked. Leo looked confused. Someone changed the subject, and just like that, the moment passed. But something inside me had already left. That night, lying awake beside Leo while he slept soundly, I stared at the ceiling and replayed everything, not just the party, but the entire marriage, I realized. I had spent 7 years trying to earn acceptance from people who had already decided I didn't matter, and in that quiet, dark moment, I made a decision. If I was so easy to forget, I would disappear. Leo fell asleep. Within minutes, he always did. Head turned slightly to the left. One arm flung over the blanket like nothing in the world required his attention. I lay beside him, eyes open, staring at the ceiling fan as it rotated slowly above us. Gregory's voice replayed in my head. If Emile disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. The laughter echoed louder than the words themselves. What unsettled me most wasn't what she said. It was how easily everyone agreed. No one defended me. No one looked uncomfortable. No one questioned it, not even my husband. I slipped out of bed just after 2 in the morning. The house was silent. The kind of silence that only exists when a place no longer feels like home. I padded down the hallway into what Leo liked to call our shared office. Though it had long since become storage for his travel bags and paperwork, I opened my laptop. Not emotionally. Not impulsively. Methodically, I searched bank balances, apartment listings, transportation options. I looked at cities where I could disappear without explanation. Seattle came to mind immediately. My sister lived there. Far enough away to breathe, close enough to not feel completely alone. By sunrise, I had the outline of a plan. Leo left early that morning for golf with his father. He kissed my cheek absently. Already scrolling through emails. Already gone, the moment his car disappeared down the street, I moved. First call, Jessica. My college roommate and one of the few people I hadn't drifted away from entirely. "I need a favor," said the second she answered. "Name it," she replied without hesitation. "I'm leaving Leo today. I need help packing." There was a pause, then "I'll be there in an hour." Jessica arrived with coffee, boxes, and a calm intensity that grounded me. We didn't waste time reminiscing. We sorted quickly. What was essential? What was replaceable? What was mine? Clothes? Documents? My design equipment? Photos of my mother? Personal notebooks? Hard drives? I didn't take anything shared that couldn't be divided later. I transferred exactly half of our joint savings into my personal account. No more, no less. I paid upcoming bills that were my responsibility. Fair, clean, undeniable. By mid-afternoon, my car was packed with the condensed version of my life. Before leaving, I wrote Leo a letter, not angry, not pleading, just factual. I told him I needed space to reevaluate our marriage, that I'd taken only what was mine, that I'd handled finances responsibly, that I needed no contact for the foreseeable future. I didn't tell him where I was going. I removed my wedding ring and placed it on top of the letter next to it. I left a single page. Gregory's sentence, written word for word, with the date and location. Then I left. Driving away felt surreal, terrifying, and exhilarating at the same time. With every mile, the tightness in my chest loosened. By the time I crossed the state line, I realized I could breathe again. That first night, I checked into a modest hotel. No luxury, no room service, just quiet. I turned off my phone, and for the first time in years, I slept deeply. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, the messages came in waves: confusion, anger, concern, bargaining. Where are you? This is ridiculous. Come home. My parents are worried. At least tell my mom you're safe. I have a trip coming up. Not once did he mention Gregory's comment. Not once did he acknowledge the engagement party. I'd sent a brief text to my mother telling her I was safe and needed privacy. Then I turned my phone off again. Seattle welcomed me with rain steady, unrelenting cleansing. My sister had already found me a small furnished studio near her place. It was tiny, worn, imperfect, and it was mine. The first few weeks were consumed by logistics, new bank accounts, a new phone number, mail forwarding through Jessica. I updated my freelance profiles, carefully removing any work connected to Leo's family network. Gregory posted passive-aggressive quotes online about loyalty and family. Patricia called my mother, fishing for information. Leo's messages slowed. I didn't respond. Instead, I rebuilt. I found a therapist who specialized in family systems and marital trauma. In one session, she said something that stayed with me. That comment wasn't the cause. It was the catalyst. She was right. The joke was just the final permission I needed by the second month. I had steady freelance work against mall jobs at first, but enough to restore my confidence. One rainy afternoon in a coffee shop led to a conversation with the owner. That conversation led to a project. That project led to more slowly. My world expanded. And without realizing it, I stopped checking to see if anyone noticed my absence. Because for the first time in years, I noticed myself again. For the first time since I left, the days started to blur it from exhaustion. But from momentum, Seattle became a rhythm. Rain tapping against windows. Coffee shops filled with quiet ambition. People who asked what I did instead of who I belonged to. I kept my circle small. My sister, Jessica, through long late-night calls. And eventually, therapists who helped me untangle the years I'd spent shrinking myself. What Gregory said didn't create this. She told me during one session, it confirmed something you already felt. She asked me to describe the first time I remembered feeling invisible. That question cracked. Something open. I remembered the early dinners, the polite smiles, the subtle dismissals framed as guidance, the way Leo never noticed because he'd never been the target. Gregory's joke wasn't cruelty out of nowhere. It was honesty without restraint. By the second month, my freelance work stabilized. Small contracts turned into steady ones. Formatting projects became branding work. Branding work led to referrals. One afternoon, while admiring a mural inside a neighborhood cafe, I struck up a conversation with the owner. That conversation turned into a meeting. The meeting turned into a project. Her name was Eleanor. She didn't care about my resume. She wanted to see the work I did when no one was watching. You've been hiding, she told me after reviewing my personal designs, and hiding dulls talent. She hired me, with one condition. Every week, you bring me something you made, just because you wanted to. Not for a client. For yourself. That condition changed everything. Through Eleanor, I met other business owners. My calendar filled with projects that energized instead of drained me. Meanwhile, Leo's attempts to reach me shifted tone. Anger turned into regret. Regret turned into silence. When divorce papers arrived, I wasn't surprised. The process was clean. No fighting. We split assets evenly. No alimony. No drawn-out negotiations. Leo included a note. I still don't understand, but I won't fight you. I didn't reply. 6 months after I left, I cut my hair shorter, sharper, the style Leo always discouraged. I barely recognized myself in the mirror, and for the first time, I liked that. By month 8, my business required more space. I rented a desk in a creative studio filled with designers, writers, and entrepreneurs, peers, not patrons, not judges. Then, exactly 1 year after Gregory's joke, an email arrived. Westwood Creative. They wanted me for a national campaign. The client. A subsidiary of Caldwell Marketing Group, Gregory's family. The timing felt deliberate, too perfect. I almost declined. But then I realized something important. If I avoided every place my past existed, I'd still be letting it control me. So I accepted. And when the invitation arrived for the industry gala, unveiling the campaign, I said yes. The night of the gala arrived quietly. No nerves. No dread. No rehearsed responses in my head. Just calm. I stood in the hotel room mirror, adjusting the emerald jumpsuit Eleanor had insisted on. Tailored, sharp, confident without trying too hard. My hair framed my face in a way that felt intentional rather than accommodating. For the first time in years, I wasn't dressing to blend in. I was dressing to arrive. The venue was a restored theater downtown, all warm lighting and understated luxury. I checked in, accepted my name badge, and took a glass of sparkling water. Within minutes, I was pulled into conversations, real ones. Discussions about design strategy, market behavior, consumer psychology. People listened when I spoke. They asked follow-up questions. They wrote my name down about 40 minutes in. I felt the shift. I didn't turn around immediately. I didn't need to. I heard Richard's laugh loud. Unmistakable. The Caldwells had arrived. I finished my sentence before excusing myself and heading toward the bar. That's when I saw them. Richard and Patricia near the entrance, perfectly composed. Gregory scanning the room, alert and calculating. And then Leo standing slightly apart, thinner than I remembered, his posture less certain. Our eyes met across the room. His widened. Mine didn't. I held his gaze for a brief moment, neither smiling nor cold, then turned away. The first interaction came sooner than expected. Emil. Richard's voice behind me was measured, professional. Richard, I replied, meeting his eyes easily. I didn't realize you were involved with this project. I'm the lead designer, I said simply. Ah! Westwood brought me in. Something flickered across his face, surprise, reassessment. You've evolved, he said carefully. Not evolved, I corrected, returned. Patricia appeared moments later, social grace firmly in place. Emil, darling, it's lovely to see you thriving. Her words were polished.
Ow.
Her discomfort wasn't. Later, Gregory intercepted us before the presentation. Her smile was tight, controlled. No one mentioned you were working on this campaign? I work with Westwood, I replied calmly. Thomas, the creative director, stepped in seamlessly.
Emil's been exceptional.
Gregory's eyes flicked between us. The presentation began. I took the stage. I spoke clearly, confidently, authentically. From the podium, I saw them all, Richard nodding, Patricia frozen, Gregory unreadable. Leo never looked away. The applause wasn't polite. It was real. Afterward, people crowded around me. Compliments, business cards, opportunities. Then Leo approached. You look good, he said. Thank you. I didn't know you were in Seattle. That was intentional. He nodded. Your presentation was impressive. I've always been talented, I said gently. Tensed, we talked briefly. Honestly. Calmly. He admitted he'd been in therapy. That he finally understood what he hadn't protected. He asked if there was a chance for us. I told him the truth. I like who I am now. Later, Gregory found me alone. She asked if I'd planned this. I told her no. Then she said quietly, "I never thought you'd actually leave." I met her gaze. It wasn't a joke. It was confirmation. She didn't argue. She didn't smile. She just nodded. The final irony settled in as I left the venue. By disappearing from their world, I had finally become visible in my own. A month passed after the gala, and life didn't slow down. If anything, it clarified. The Sheffield campaign launched nationally 2 weeks after the conference, and the response exceeded expectations. Retailers reported increased engagement. Industry blogs featured the redesign. Westwood extended my contract without hesitation. For the first time in my career, success arrived without qualifiers. No one asked who I was married to. No one referenced my background. No one treated my work like a novelty. I was just competent, trusted, valued. One rainy afternoon, I sat across from Eleanor in her coffee shop, steam curling between us as rain streaked the windows. "You handled that family situation better than most people handle bad clients," she said dryly. I smiled. Years of practice. And she pressed, "Any fallout?" I thought about it. Leo had emailed once since the gala. Not long, not dramatic, just a quiet acknowledgement. "Seeing you like that helped me understand. I'm trying to do better." I hadn't responded not because I was angry, but because I no longer felt obligated to manage his emotions. Gregory hadn't reached out at all. That silence spoke louder than any apology. Patricia sent a handwritten note congratulating me on the campaign. Polite, distant, carefully neutral. For the first time, I didn't read between the lines. I folded it, filed it away, moved on. The most unexpected change came from myself. I stopped explaining. Stopped rehearsing conversations that never happened. Stopped preparing defenses for attacks that never came. I trusted my own presence. One evening, while walking home through misty streets, I passed a restaurant hosting an engagement party. Laughter spilled onto the sidewalk. Champagne glasses clinked. I paused, not with bitterness. With clarity. A year ago, I would have shrunk inside myself, wondering how to fit into someone else's celebration, wondering what version of me would be acceptable. Now, I simply observed, then kept walking. Later that night, I unpacked the last box I'd been avoiding. At the bottom, I found my old wedding ring. I hadn't worn it in over a year. I turned it over once in my hand, no anger, no nostalgia, then placed it in a small jewelry box and closed the lid. Some things don't need dramatic endings. They just need to be put down. Before bed, I opened my laptop and began sketching a new personal project. No client, no deadline, just curiosity. As I worked, Gregory's words drifted back into my mind. If you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. She'd been right in her world, but she'd been wrong everywhere else. Because disappearing wasn't the end of me. It was the beginning. And this time, I was exactly where I belonged.